been beating this drum from day one, and the people in the streets, the attorneys, the prisoners, the family members are giving you the real accounts of what happened on January 6th. That's what the people think. Now we take it to the table and bring you some exclusive guests. A.J. Fischer, he's a Air Force veteran. He's a proud member of the Proud Boys still. And A.J., thank you so much for joining us, telling your story. But this video that you shared with us kind of gives America a real good look into what was happening in the minds of the Proud Boys, in particular, the Ministry of Self-Defense. You were on that call. How important is it for us to get this information out there?
Yeah, it's huge. The whole crux of the indictment for seditious conspiracy really relies on the creation of this MOSD chapter. And if you watch this YouTube video that was filmed and live stream recorded a week before January 6th, you just see that this whole indictment is a fraud. And these guys really did nothing wrong. There was no conspiracy to do anything other than to have safe and fun rallies going forward.
So basically what I see in this video, and I watched the whole entire video, is really the Proud Boys were there to defend against Antifa, and they were talking more about self-defense, how they could protect themselves against Antifa, and also things like not get drunk and to stay out of trouble and not cross police barriers. You were there, you were listening to the meeting. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this chapter was created in response to previous events, one just a few weeks prior and then the month before that, where 4 Proud Boys members were stabbed, almost killed. And we created this chapter so we could have guys that have throttle control. That's something that Enrique said many times during that video. Guys that could have throttle control and stay cool under pressure. So in the event there was an attack, we could protect those Trump supporters and ourselves from another stabbing and possibly death.
Right.
So, AJ, I want to throw to a few clips. Now, we have the entire 2-hour call unedited, and this meeting was on December 30th, 2020, about 7 days before. Not sure if there are any meetings afterwards, but this one, right to start out the meeting, I want you to take a look at. And here's Enrique Tarrio, who's currently also indicted, the president of the Proud Boys, starting the meeting. And look what he's telling his group of the Ministry of Self-Defense.
We're never going to be the ones to cross the police barrier or cross something in order to get to somebody. We're always going to be the ones standing back, right? And we're always going to be the ones to defend. And we've been really good at it. We've been, let's be honest, we've been really good at that.
What are your thoughts on how he even started it for this supposed Ministry of Self-Defense who conspired to take over the Capitol?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one clip of many that just show the creation of this chapter was strictly to be a self-defensive movement by the Proud Boys to standardize operations for this social club. We mostly talk about medical supplies and standardization of what we would do in the event of any violence perpetrated on us or on the Proud Boys and the Trump supporters.
Moving forward, we can't continue to have that issue. It will bury the entire club if one huge incident happens and we're at fault. I saw a lot of people going on the offense. We're not used to going on the offense. That's why it's called self-defense. Self-defense should always come first. You should always defend yourself. We shouldn't put ourselves in harm's way, right? We've been known to defend people. I get it, right? But it doesn't mean that we have to go out and look for it.
The majority of the Proud Boys on that indictment are in jail right now in solitary confinement, awaiting trial. They're totally being used, as far as I'm concerned, by the government as fall guys to pin this insurrection, quote unquote, on, when in reality they were planning to literally go there to march and, you know, to exercise their First Amendment rights. Thank you so much for coming out with this video, AJ. I know that you mentioned that you got out of jail and you saw that these guys were being charged with seditious conspiracy, and you felt like you had to come forward and show this video to the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, these guys are charged with seditious conspiracy now. It's the newest indictment that's come out. They use this MOSD chapter as the whole basis for the charge. And this video is the planning video 7 days before. I mean, what better way to see if this indictment is truthful than, you know, to watch this video? And when you watch this video, you see we're Proud Boys. We like to rally and have fun. And Enrique just wanted to make sure guys weren't drunk and acting sloppy and getting into fights that, you know, they might start. Instead, we wanted to be there to be a security self-defense group there for the safety of any rally goers. And, you know, this creation of this MOSD chapter was not for January 6th. It was for every rally going forward. We talk about a lot of rallies that we're going to be planning later on. So the whole idea that this was created as a response to the certification of votes and we wanted to go do something nefarious that day, it's absolutely patently false.
AJ, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Coming up next on Wise Guys.
We're joined by Ashley Babbitt's mother, Mickey Whithoff, to give you her observations on the committee and why no one in this committee has uttered Ashley Babbitt's name. All right, well, you heard from one of the Proud Boys, and another thing you won't hear about at all during the January 6th Unselect Committee hearings, the made-for-primetime TV hearings, is the name Ashley Babbitt. No one on this committee wants to acknowledge that one civilian was killed by a law enforcement officer that day, and it just gets completely swept under the rug. And we've had her on before, but Ashley Babbitt's mom, Mickey Whithoff, joins us right now to get her observations on this. Hello, Mickey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Johnny. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Mickey, I'm sure you're not even watching this kind of kabuki theater stuff, but from what you've heard and what you've read, what are your thoughts on what they're telling America and what really happened?
Well, what they're telling America is exactly what I expected them to be telling America, which is a whole bunch of lies. And, you know, there's such a conflict of interest and it's not a hearing when you don't present both sides of the story. And what they should be saying is, you know, the insurrection was the installed Biden regime, and we should be thanking the 1 million people that showed up there on January 6th to try to prevent that from happening, because that was the coup.
So, Mickey, as the mother of Ashley Babbitt, who was an unarmed veteran who was shot and killed that day, they didn't even mention her name once. How does that make you feel as a mother?
Well, it makes me feel like that's them perpetuating the lie. They can't mention Ashley because that would screw their narrative up. You know, they can't say that, you know, that edited video they showed where Trump supporters were agitated, because they don't tell you that they're reacting to the violent death of 2 women they've just seen. They present everything as you know, oh, these wild, out of control Trump supporters. But they just watched women die before their eyes. So yeah, they were a little upset.
Right, and the crazy thing is they mention multiple police officers that were killed that day, which we know is not true, and they never mentioned the 4 Trump supporters that were killed that day. Could you tell us a little bit more about the others that were killed that day?
Well, Roseanne Boylan, we know that she was beaten to death by Metropolitan Police Officer Leila Morris, allegedly. And Benjamin Phillips and Brian and Kevin Greason, also, you know, victims of the concussion grenades. I mean, there was a peaceful day, and then I want to know what happened that caused the Capitol Police to shoot all the flashbang grenades and concussive weapons that they shot into the crowd. You know, what happened there? You know, it was a peaceful protest until it wasn't, but who started that? Let's see what happened. You know, in this big production they're doing on the 6th, it's with, you know, with a Hollywood producer, and this, we have footage. We have raw footage that'll tell its own story. You know, let's see the 14,000 hours of footage that Nancy Pelosi won't let us see, because that will tell the truth. You know, good or bad, it will tell everybody's truth, but it will exonerate some of the people sitting in jail, and it will incriminate some of the FBI and bad actors that are associated with the government. Yeah. So of course we can't see that. That's why it's being swept under the rug. That's why our political prisoners aren't being shown their discovery, because their same discovery would be the same film that incriminates the FBI and the Department of Justice and the Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police.
Well, you would think that they would actually care to investigate these things, like the deaths of of 4 protesters, but they're not. They're just still continuing to crucify Donald Trump. That's all they care about.
Right. And I feel like I'm in the storybook, The Emperor's New Clothes. People are so ridiculously one-sided in this that they don't want to, you know, things that are obvious, you know, things in this country that are obvious that are going on, our borders, our you know, children being groomed for you know, sexual purposes, graphic pornography in schools, on the streets, and the gay pride parades that just got out of control. I mean, like I said, it feels like emperor's new clothes, where things are so wrong, and people are afraid to say how wrong they are.
Yeah. Hey, Mickey, I know aside from fighting for justice for Ashley, you've become an advocate for many of the other people who are never mentioned, like the Roseanne Boylans of the world, and God bless you for that. But before we go, Mickey, if you had one message for Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney, who are running this political theater, what's your message to them?
My message is, you know what happened. You know what happened, and you know you're lying. And I would like to tell Nancy Pelosi she's not the queen.
I couldn't put it better than that. Thank you so much, Mickey. And God bless you for all the work you do and for staying strong. And here on Wise Guys, we will not stop until the truth gets out about Ashley's murder. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right. So you heard from one guy who's under indictment. You heard from another mom who lost her daughter and can't really get any justice at this point, Kara, as hard as we're trying. But now we're going to take it to the next level, and we're going to talk to one of the finest attorneys in the land. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Alan Dershowitz, who's representing a January 6th client, right?
Yes,
Brady.
he's representing Brady Knowlton.
And we're going to get Alan's observations on what this show trial is doing to these guys' chances and what's really happening on the ground with people like Brady Knowlton and others. We'll take a quick break right here. We'll come back right after this with more Wise Guys. Do not move.